November 205 BC. In the Taihang Mountains, the natural fortress of the Zhao kingdom, a thin winter mist hung over Jingxing Pass. The Zhao army, boasting a force of 200,000, had constructed a formidable stronghold here. Miles of interconnected camps with deep trenches and high walls. From their watchtowers, they tensely observed the ancient Jingxing Trail to the west. This pass guarded the vital artery leading through the Taihang Mountains and east into the heart of Zhao territory. If the invading forces could not seize Jingxing Pass, they would be unable to advance a single step further. To facilitate troop deployment, the Zhao main camp was not positioned directly at the mouth of the pass. Instead, a vast open space was left as a pre-planned battlefield for the armies to unfold and engage. The area near the Zhao camp had been cleared in advance, leaving it entirely exposed to the lethal range of their crossbows. As the sun stubbornly broke through the morning mist, the Zhao scouts finally saw that a sizable Han force had emerged from the valley under the cover of night and set up camp on the northern side. But when they saw the position of the camp, they couldn't help but feel suspicious. This Han infantry of roughly 10,000 had chosen to deploy with their backs against the eastward flowing Mianmen River, and were currently digging temporary field fortifications. This was a deployment that utterly defied military common sense. Having a river at one's back meant there was no retreat when facing a powerful enemy. This is what the art of war calls the death ground. Why would the Han army make such a blunder? While the Zhao were still hesitating, war drums thundered and horns blared from the valley mouth. Another Han infantry phalanx, banners high and spears in hand, marched out from the pass in perfect step with the drumbeat. The Zhao camp immediately mobilized. Commander Chen Yu watched from a high vantage point, seeing several war chariots among the Han ranks. The central army raised a commander flag. Looking closer, the banners of generals Han and Zhang were faintly visible. Chen Yu thought to himself, "So, the main forces of Han Xin and Zhang have arrived." The seasoned Chen Yu did not move immediately. Relying on his strong fortifications, he waited for the Han to finish their deployment while calmly calculating their strength. 20,000. Though this Han force arrayed before the Zhao ramparts was larger than Chen Yu's previous estimate, it was no more than 20,000. Combined with the 10,000 already stationed by the Mianmen River, Han Xin's army likely numbered only 30,000. Even if he had hidden reserves in the valley, it wouldn't change the outcome much. The narrow Jingxing Trail simply could not accommodate more troops. 200,000 against 30,000. The advantage is mine. Emboldened, Chen Yu ordered a probing attack. The Zhao gates opened, and their infantry phalanxes moved forward. Chen Yu did not commit his full strength at once, sending only a vanguard of 40 to 50,000 to engage the Han. To his slight surprise, the Han infantry led by Han Xin himself showed remarkably high morale. Though outnumbered, these 20,000 Han soldiers fought desperately against the Zhao assault and demonstrated enough flexibility to just barely hold the line. Chen Yu commanded the battle calmly. Besides managing the rotation of the pike lines, he periodically dispatched light cavalry and crossbowmen to harass the Han flanks and weaken their mobile reserves. He intended to use his superiority in numbers to strip away the Han's room for maneuver. As time passed and the battle raged from morning until noon, the Zhao increased their investment again and again. Gradually, the Han began to show signs of exhaustion. Their phalanx lines started to recede, and gaps even appeared in some places. Chen Yu had been waiting for this opportunity. He ordered the Zhao to intensify the attack. Sure enough, the Han army began to retreat. Seeing the Han lines waver and retreat, the Zhao generals were eager to launch a pursuit. But Chen Yu stopped them firmly. He rode to a high vantage point and began to observe the Han army's movements. Chen Yu was no novice who would easily fall for a trap. Although still relatively young, Chen Yu, a native of the Wei state, had been famous across the Six Kingdoms since his youth. Even the first emperor of Qin feared his talent, once offering a massive bounty for the heads of Chen Yu and his mentor. Chen Yu's mentor, also a man of Wei, had been a retainer to the legendary Lord Xinling. He was a world-renowned Yuxia, a knight-errant whose fame echoed across the land. Even a young Liu Bang had once served as his retainer for several months. Despite the age gap, Chen Yu and his mentor shared a bond that was both teacher-student and peer friendship. Together, they had fled the Qin Emperor's bounty hunters and lived in hiding until the world collapsed into chaos. However, amidst the turbulent fall of the Qin dynasty, their relationship soured through a series of tragic coincidences. When Chen Yu's mentor and the king of Zhao were trapped by the Qin army in the city of Julu, Chen Yu, then commander of the Northern Coalition forces, refused to attack, fearing the sheer power of the Qin military. Despite his mentor's repeated pleas for rescue, Chen Yu remained stationary. Chen Yu's justification was cold. "No one can defeat the Qin at Julu right now. Rather than perish together, it is better for me to survive and wait for an opportunity to avenge you." But what no one expected was the arrival of the overlord, Xiang Yu. With the legendary tactic of Po Hu Chen Zhou, Xiang Yu led 50,000 Chu troops to shatter the siege of Julu. After the rescue, supported by the other feudal lords, Chen Yu's mentor stripped Chen Yu of his military command. From that moment on, the two became bitter rivals. Following the final fall of the Qin and Xiang Yu's redistribution of the empire, half of Zhao's territory was carved out to make Chen Yu's mentor the king of Changshan. Chen Yu, who was only granted the rank of marquis, refused to accept this. He borrowed troops from the Qi state, defeated his own mentor, and restored the king of Zhao. In gratitude, the king of Zhao named Chen Yu the king of Dai. However, Chen Yu chose not to go to the Dai state, staying instead in Zhao to focus on advising the king. Thus, at this very moment, Chen Yu holds the titles of King of Dai and Grand Tutor of Zhao. And his mentor, the former king of Changshan, is the deputy commander of the Han army currently facing him, Zhang Er. Chen Yu knew Zhang Er's capabilities all too well, but he was entirely unfamiliar with the commander of the Han army, the great general Han Xin. In fact, until just a few months ago, almost no one had heard of Han Xin. This obscure figure had seemingly become Liu Bang's top general overnight. In just over a month, he had stunned the world by conquering the Wei state and the Dai state while Chen Yu was away. But how did he fight? How great was his true ability? No one had a definitive answer. Filled with suspicion, Chen Yu remained cautious. Standing beside Chen Yu was the Zhao general Li Zuoche. Unlike Chen Yu, a Wei outsider, Li Zuoche was the grandson of Li Mu, the military soul of Zhao. Upon learning that Han Xin and Zhang Er were marching east after conquering Wei and Dai, Li Zuoche had meticulously analyzed the Han army's strength, routes, motives, and combat effectiveness with Chen Yu. As a native of Zhao, Li Zuoche was intimately familiar with the Taihang Mountains and the treacherous Jingxing Pass. He proposed a direct strategy. The Jingxing Trail is extremely narrow and dangerous. When a large army passes through, their lines will inevitably stretch for dozens of miles. I ask you to block the pass with the main army, then give me 30,000 elite troops. I will lead this strike force through the mountains to exploit the terrain and sever the Han army's rear and supply lines. Within 10 days, the heads of Han Xin and Zhang Er will be the trophies of Zhao. Confident in his plan, Li Zuoche emphasized, "I implore you to heed my counsel. If not, you will surely be taken captive by these two men." But Chen Yu, the grand tutor of Zhao, refused. Sima Qian, the grand historian, attributed Chen Yu's decision to his identity as a Confucian general, one who believed that a righteous army does not stoop to trickery or deceptive schemes. Chen Yu reportedly declared, "Military doctrine dictates that with 10 times the enemy's strength, you surround them. With double, you engage." Now Han Xin claims to have tens of thousands, but his actual force is likely a mere few thousand. They have traveled 1,000 miles to strike us and must be utterly exhausted. If we retreat and refuse to fight now, what will we do when a greater threat arrives? The other feudal lords will brand us cowards and invade our lands without hesitation. It sounds like the rhetoric of a romanticist. However, a closer reading of the historical records suggests that this was not Chen Yu's true motive, or at least not the most critical one. While Sima Qian did not explicitly record this in the biographies of Chen Yu or Han Xin, we find a crucial clue hidden within the chronicles of other founding heroes of the Han dynasty. Han Xin's advance was not the only threat facing the Zhao kingdom. In fact, a southern Han army, led by Jin Shi and others, was simultaneously driving north. They were attacking Kyoga and Anyang, closing in on the Zhao capital, Handan. This was a mirror image of the strategy the Qin state had once used to destroy Zhao, a classic pincer movement designed to force the kingdom into a two-front war. This reveals the real reason Chen Yu rejected Li Zuoche's plan. He did not have the luxury of time to sit behind deep trenches at Jingxing Pass and wait for Han Xin's supplies to fail in the mountains. He needed to leverage his overwhelming numerical advantage to swiftly crush Han Xin in a decisive encounter, then immediately wheel his army south to save Handan from its peril. Time was not a luxury for the Zhao army. Every half-day saved in this predictable battle meant more strategic breathing room for their next move. This is the key to unlocking the mysterious maneuvers of the Zhao army at the Battle of Jingxing. Placing ourselves in Chen Yu's position, he truly had very few options. Yet, as an experienced commander, Chen Yu was not entirely blinded by personal vendettas or the pressure for a quick result. He may not have known Han Xin, but he knew his own mentor, Zhang Er, was no easy opponent. Standing upon the heights, he scrutinized every detail of the Han retreat, searching for any sign of a ruse. He remained a cold observer, waiting to see what role the 10,000 Han soldiers stationed by the Mianman River would play. He desperately needed a quick victory, but it had to be a guaranteed victory. The shifting movements of the Han army before him made him wary, like a fox treading on thin winter ice, hesitant to make a final, fatal move. At this very moment, Zhang Er's heart was in his throat. The deposed king of Changshan stood upon his command chariot, retreating alongside the main body of infantry. He looked at Han Xin in the adjacent chariot. The Han Grand General remained expressionless. Han Xin calmly ordered his guards to discard a few insignificant signal flags and abandon the heavy war drums that had been pushed to the front during the initial advance. He allowed the chaotic swarm of soldiers to follow their chariots, retreating southwest toward the banks of the Mianman River. Zhang Er knew this was Han Xin's deliberate design, yet he felt no certainty of success. The campaign against Zhao was both Liu Bang's strategic objective and Zhang Er's personal quest to reclaim his kingdom from Chen Yu. But Zhang Er was plagued by a grim reality. He knew exactly what hand they were playing. They were leading over 30,000 green recruits with almost no long-term training. Originally, during the conquests of Wei and Dai, Han Xin had utilized a corps of elite Langzhong cavalry provided by Liu Bang and commanded by Guan Ying to break the deadlock north of the Yellow River. However, as the fighting at Xingyang grew desperate, Liu Bang repeatedly siphoned off these seasoned veterans. As historical records state, envoys were frequently sent to seize his elite troops and dispatch them to Xingyang to resist Chu. Yet leading these 30,000 raw recruits, Han Xin dared to traverse the Taihang Mountains, march through the treacherous Jingxing Pass, and launch an assault against a 200,000-strong army. Such a strategy defied everything Zhang Er understood about traditional warfare. At midnight the day before, when the Han army was still 10 miles from Jingxing Pass, Han Xin had ordered them to camp and issued a startling new directive. He took the only elite force remaining, 2,000 Langzhong cavalry, and ordered each man to carry a red Han banner. They were to take a narrow northern trail and conceal themselves in the mountains behind the Zhao fortifications. Han Xin told this strike force, "I will feign a retreat. The Zhao army will surely abandon their stronghold to pursue me. When they do, charge into their camp, uproot their banners, and replace them with our red flags." While Zhang Er and the other generals remained skeptical, Han Xin issued another order. No morning meal was to be cooked. Instead, dry rations were distributed. Han Xin declared with absolute confidence, "We shall crush the Zhao army today and feast together this evening." Zhang Er and the officers found him dangerously optimistic. Would Chen Yu really be foolish enough to commit his entire force in pursuit? Yet, under the shadow of strict military law, they could only answer, "At your command." Upon reaching Jingxing Pass, Han Xin made his final move. He dispatched 10,000 infantry under the cover of darkness to the banks of the Mianmen River to construct rudimentary fieldworks and deploy with their backs to the water. At this, Zhang and the generals could no longer remain silent. They grabbed Han Xin, protesting, "Military doctrine dictates keeping mountains to the rear and right, and water to the front and left. Now you order these new recruits to fight with a river at their backs. Is this not condemning them to the death ground?" However, judging by the true course of history, Zhang should not have asked such a question. Like Chen Yu across the field, Zhang had witnessed the terrifying power of the Death Ground formation at the Battle of Julu. Back then, the 50,000 Chu troops led by Chen Yu and Yingbu had also deployed with their backs to the water. They erupted with staggering combat power, winning 9 consecutive engagements, crushing the flanking divisions of Zhang Han's army, and destroying the supply lines of Wang Li's Great Wall army. In doing so, they shattered the siege of Julu. Chen Yu became a legend in that single battle, rising as the supreme commander of the feudal lords. The carnage outside the walls of Julu must have remained vividly etched in the memories of both Zhang and Chen Yu. Zhang should have understood that this was the tactic of placing one in the ground of death to find life. Zhizhidir Ho Sheng. Chen Yu's 50,000 Chu troops were elites. Placing them in a death ground was meant to lure the Qin into complacency while unleashing the maximum destructive potential of his tiger and wolf warriors. Similarly, Han Xin deployed these 10,000 unseasoned recruits by the river to make them understand one thing: there was no retreat, only death or victory. In the phalanx warfare of the late warring states and the Qin transition, the side with the absolute resolve to die held the upper hand in close quarters. High morale and the transcendence of death were the only secrets to victory that could surpass mere weaponry or technical skill. Chen Yu, of course, understood this as well. He watched intently from his vantage point. He saw the Han army discarding their banners. He saw the Zhao pursuit swarm forward like a rising tide. He saw the abandoned Han war drums submerged in a sea of Zhao green. And then he saw it. The main Han force had retreated into their pre-arranged positions on the banks of the Mianmen River. Chen Yu drew a sharp breath. At that moment, his initial suspicion was confirmed. Han Xin was merely a figurehead commander. The one truly directing the Han army must be Zhang the man who had witnessed the power of the death ground tactic alongside him. As expected, the seemingly chaotic Han retreat funneled perfectly into the riverbank fortifications. There, they joined the 10,000 fresh troops who had been waiting in reserve, and the defensive line was rapidly reorganized. The Zhao cavalry and chariots, once their pride, found no room to maneuver against the entrenched riverbank fieldworks. The surging green wave of the Zhao pursuit crashed against the red Han line like surf against a cliff, only to be forced back in futility. A shock went through Chen Yu's heart. I knew it! The retreat was a ruse! The goal had been to lure the Zhao army into a riverbank position that favored the Han. The Zhao generals, including Li Zuoche, observed the shifting tides. They saw the Zhao momentum grind to a halt, the phalanxes locked in a brutal, bloody stalemate. They all turned toward Chen Yu, awaiting their commander's decision. Chen Yu's brow furrowed as he calculated his next move. In this heartbeat of time, he must have remembered Xiang Yu, the fields of Julu, and the defeated generals Zhang Han and Wang Li. He suddenly recalled a critical detail. The complacent Qin army, despite possessing 400,000 men, had not taken the death-ground Chu troops seriously. Their counterattacks had been hesitant and piecemeal. That was how the Chu managed to accumulate victory after victory until they achieved final dominance. I cannot make that same mistake. Chen Yu felt he finally saw the truth. Facing an opponent fighting for their very lives, he needed to break this hard bone immediately. The only thing he could do, and must do, was to launch a total assault. His numbers far exceeded the enemy's. Only by attacking with everything he had could he negate the opponent's morale advantage, using raw, indisputable force to crush their positions and their spirits. At that moment, Chen Yu felt certain. The victory was his. With a decisive wave of his hand, the horn sounded and the war drums shook the heavens. The entire Zhao host emptied from their strongholds, pressing down from all directions upon the small Han pocket by the river. However, the combat effectiveness of the Han army in this death ground far exceeded Chen Yu's darkest imaginings. These recruits had no retreat and no alternative. Fixed to their positions and swept up in the momentum of the pike phalanx, they thrust their spears in a mechanical cadence with the drumbeat. Their energy was spent, their consciousness blurred, yet they did not fall. They fought on. Despair began to seep into the Zhao ranks. They could see the rushing torrents of the Mianmen River. They felt that with just one more push, they could drive the opposing phalanx into the water. Yet they could not. The spears before them were a forest. The will before them was steel. In the bloody clash of phalanxes, men on both sides fell incessantly. Finally, the Zhao lines wavered. Their courage buckled under the weight of such staggering casualties. Unlike the Han, they still had an option. They could retreat. The Zhao officers overseeing the battle were powerless. In the chaos, bows and crossbows were useless, while chariots and cavalry remained idle on the periphery, mere spectators to the slaughter. The intense combat had raged for several hours since noon. Chen Yu felt he could almost see Zhang Er's face through the carnage, yet the swaying Han line refused to break. Chen Yu knew that danger was mounting. He made the most prudent decision an experienced military leader could. He sounded the gongs for retreat. He decided to abandon the pursuit of a total annihilation tonight, because it was impossible. He intended to return to his stronghold to regroup. Perhaps, he thought, by tomorrow morning, the heavily battered Han army would have slunk back into the Taihang Mountains. But even as these thoughts crossed his mind, the Zhao army collapsed into chaos. As the Zhao troops returned to their base, they found their great camp had been breached. Smoke billowed into the sky, every Zhao banner had been uprooted, and the red flags of the Han army fluttered everywhere. In the distance, Han cavalry could be seen massing at the camp gates. The morale of the Zhao army shattered instantly. Li Zuoche and the other generals fought desperately to maintain order, even executing deserters with their own hands to stem the tide of defeat. But Chen Yu was already soul-crushed. He murmured to himself, "Are the Han truly this fast? Have they already taken Handan and struck from my rear?" Just then, battle cries erupted from behind. The Han army by the Mianmen River had launched a pursuit. All was lost. Chen Yu fled, only to be captured and executed. To his dying breath, he likely never knew that the force that captured his camp consisted of only 2,000 Han light cavalry. Nor did he realize that his true opponent had never been Zhang Er. It was the god of war, Han Xin, who had successfully predicted his every move, and even his predictions of those moves.